Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us from wherever you're joining us, from Australia and all around the world. I am coming to you from Coffs Harbour, and my name is Brad Atwell. And tonight we're talking about Nepal Trekking 101. And hopefully, I can give you some good insights into what you need to think about when you're choosing a trek. Hopefully, I can give you some good information. I've had the good fortune of trekking in a number of regions of Nepal and in other places in the Himalaya, from Sikkim to Ladakh. And, I've had the good fortune of being to Tibet, Pakistan, and Bhutan, but not trekked there, unfortunately, maybe one day. So tonight, Nepal Trekking 101, what are we going to cover? Well, where is Nepal? Most of you probably already know that. Why trek in Nepal? Most of you probably know that, but you might be thinking, well, why one region over the other? Where to trek? They sort of connect. When to trek is the obvious one. How hard is it really? In the growth of the internet, there's a lot of articles out there, and a lot of the articles come from, I guess, places that maybe sensationalize things a little bit. So let's just talk about the realities of that. Tips on choosing a trek. And of course, at the end, on your Zoom panel, you might see a Q&A. If you don't see it, it might be hidden under the More button. You can type in a question there and I can answer that. I'll answer that at the end. And so if I don't cover something, pop it in there. Yeah. Whoops, went too fast there. So obviously, where to trek? Look, most people think of the Everest region, Mount Everest. It's the highest mountain on Earth. The Himalaya are the highest mountain ranges on Earth. It's natural that that's the first thing that most people think of. But there's a whole bunch of regions in Nepal. It's wedged there in between India and China. And it's a highly mountainous region, as we all know, and it covers every sort of landscape region on Earth, from the tropics to the top of Earth. No one can really say the top of Earth. And look, I don't know if this is true or not, but if you flattened Nepal, it would be one of the largest countries on Earth. And when you go there, you'll see why. That probably makes a lot of sense. Now, when you go to Nepal, everybody flies to Kathmandu. Whether you're coming from North America, Europe, Australia, Kathmandu is where you book your flights to. And it is a fun, very overwhelming city for a lot of people first time. It's a very old city. The Bodhnath Stupa there, the picture there on the left is a fragment of Buddha's bone is in there. Buddha was born in Nepal. It's mainly a Hindu country, but it has a lot of Buddhist influences. So, traffic police, busy markets. On the top right there, you will see, they are still doing cremations by the river. It can be very overwhelming for a lot of people. So, it's nice if you travel with someone that's been there, they pick you up from the airport, take you to a nice hotel where there's a good breakfast. That's one of the advantages of traveling with us. We started in 1975 in Nepal, in Nepal. And I also turned 50 this year. I hope to think that I've learned something in those 50 years. You learn a lot. And we think we've gotten Nepal trekking down to a fine art. And I'll go out, I've been with this company for 27 years. I've worked in a number of markets around the world. When it comes to trekking in Nepal, no one thinks about it more. And it really comes down to the longevity of staff and some of the people that work with us. So why go to Nepal? Well, there she is right there. Oddly enough, you just see the tip of it over the Lhotse Nuptse wall. It's Mount Everest. That's the main reason most people think, let's go to Nepal. But one thing I've sort of noticed over the years is everybody departs on their trips talking about the mountains, telling their friends about the mountains, Googling mountains. Everyone comes back talking about the people. I just did a pretty tough trek, our Everest 3 Passes trek recently. And, I said I was 50 and I thought, maybe that's it. I'm done. And at the end, when you share your tips and have a little party with your crew, it's just such a heartfelt, joyous moment. You sort of think, maybe one more time. It's a little bit addictive, Nepal. I think the people there are so genuine. That's a rare trait for a lot of us in the various societies that we live around. So to see such genuine care and compassion is very, very nice. So where to trek? So, look, there's a few probably more regions I could add in here, but these are the main regions that we recommend. And, Everest region is the obvious one, the Sherpa culture, Everest Base Camp. It's good to remember that the Sherpa is a group of people. It's not a job description. Porters carry your stuff. They could be Sherpa, they may not be Sherpa, but in the high altitude regions of the Khumbu is where the Sherpa culture thrives. And so, as Sir Edmund Hillary made that famous, the Annapurna region, it's got very diverse landscapes. There's, I think, from memory, 8,000 meter peaks in Nepal, 5 in the Everest region, 3 in the Annapurna. So there are 8,000 meters peaks over there, and you get to go through more greener sort of landscapes, lower altitudes, which means more people live there. So there's more villages. It's a good place to start. Manaslu, my colleague who's helping me tonight, is off there. There's a big 8,000 meter peak. And basically, if you really want to get away from the crowds, there's other regions there. You can read them out for yourself. But the reason you'd go there is you've got a particular interest in either that mountain, that culture, or you just want to get truly away from people. So, sorry, but I will start with the Everest region. As I said, people go there talking about the mountains, come back talking about the people. Home of Sherpa culture. It really is quite magnificent. Everything, every day is a highlight. There's no, once we get to a place, maybe you choose Everest Base Camp. From the time you get on the flight to Lukla, it's pretty amazing. And one of the advantages we do, they had a change in Nepal recently where you can no longer fly to Lukla from Kathmandu. There's just too much traffic. So you have to drive 5 hours away. There was some really bad rain recently, bad roads. Not the most fun drive if you sort of had to do it at 1 a.m. in the morning. And so that's why we have a camp there, about 5 minutes walk away from there. And we drive to Ramachap. And bang, we're on the first flight. Well, one of the first flights next morning, and you see some dreary-eyed people. And look, it's the little things like that add to your experience. Okay. And so the Everest region, I start and I show you high mountains, but really, this is a lot of it. I was surprised how changed it was. You'll notice the railings there. Wow. Okay, that's the Dudkosi River. When you're flying to Lukla, you're walking for a couple of days before you get up to Namche Bazaar, and it's a big reveal. The anticipation is strong because they're there, but you see this kind of landscape, and you have to cross a few bridges. People with vertigo. This is a new bridge. The old bridge they used to bungee jump off, but after you cross this bridge, there's a couple of hours. Feels like directly up to Namche Bazaar. And Namche Bazaar is the Sherpa trading capital. And it's one way in to the Everest region. Once you get to Namche Bazaar, you may go to a number of different places. So when choosing your trek, it really comes down to what do you want to see? What do you want to do? How hard do you want to make it? Okay. So, the next stop from Namche Bazaar would be the old monastery of Tangbache. And you can see up in the top right, Ama Dablam Base Camp. Heading to the middle, Gokyo Lakes, the Renjo La. You can just see in the pictures just how much maybe colder it looks, how much greener it is. If you don't want to go as hard, don't go as cold looking, I guess. Now, all our trips are graded. This is why we have a grading system on our trips. And we started as a trekking company. I noticed that some of our treks, we might grade moderate and others grade strenuous because they're not trekking companies. And, Everest Base Camp was sort of our equilibrium, if you will. We started there. And so everything comes off that. It's a subjective thing. There's no international guidelines of grading. So, we always do get comments on it, but we try and explain it as best we can. But see, here is from Namche Bazaar, I would say. That is Everest right there. So you really only see the top of it. And if you want to go to the Everest region, and if your whole sort of motivation to go to the Everest region is to see Everest, You don't have to do Everest Base Camp. You could just go to as far as Tangbache or Arma de Blanc Base Camp. You will, on the way up after that bridge I said, you will see your first glimpse of Everest. The closer you get to the mountain, the less you see. So that's why people like to Gokyo Ri. This is my very out of focus picture, and I'm very sorry for that. But you can start to see there. I was showing you that side, and now you're seeing on the left side, and there's that massive north face of Everest. If you really don't want to walk, go to Tibet. There's that north face of Everest. Over here is Gokyo Ri, where you're looking, and on the other side is Nepal. But you can, on the Lhasa to Kathmandu trip, you essentially drive to a place called the Rongbuk Valley, and you can see it without walking if you really want to. And it's unexposed face, so it's actually a better view, to be honest. The Annapurna region. I did the right thing. I think I went there for the first time because there's lots of reasons why you might want to do that. You don't know about altitude. You don't know about the Himalaya. And there's no reason to think, oh, you'll be disappointed if you go here. There's 3 8,000 meter peaks. The one on the left, you can see Dhaulagiri. It's not an 8,000 meter peak, I believe, Machapachari, the Fishtail Mountain on the right, but it's a beautiful mountain. And it's very cultural. You're walking through more Hindu villages and more people trading, and you can just see from this selection of shots, it's fun. It's just genuine. You'll be laughing the whole way. The Annapurna region, Machapachari, the Fishtail Mountain. This is really the best place to start if you're a little bit nervous. All right. Now, altitude. Everyone's got their own opinion. I tend to think around 3,000 meters, 2.5 to 3,000 meters is where you might feel an effect. It doesn't mean you have the altitude sickness. It's probably misnamed a little bit and really scares people a lot. Yes, you sometimes may feel a bit like, look, our guides will know if you're suffering from any symptoms of altitude before you will. They're highly trained. They keep asking you questions. The main thing they do is notice how much you eat on the first meal and see how much you're eating subsequently, because as your appetite drops, they'll think much. But it's not high altitudes in the Annapurna region. You might get to 3.5, 4,000 meters is the Annapurna circuit, which is higher. It's good for families. It's shorter. It's 4-day treks in here, 4 to 7 days. We try and take you off the main trails. If you combine it with Chitwan National Park, you might see some rhinos. But you can see here, just from the pictures, a lot greener. Rhododendrons as you stay a bit lower, very famous thing. But the thing about Nepal, it doesn't matter what altitude you go to. This is the Himalaya. There's steps. You will be walking up. There's really no way to train for altitude, but there is an easy way to train for steps. It's just walking steps. Be that guy or that person or that girl that walks the steps at the airport, doesn't take the escalators. Just you have steps, you take steps, do step ups, get your legs, get your aerobic in order. And as I mentioned, we did have a family. You can take younger kids in this, but it was really nice that a father and son, they chose this. Imagine that as a bonding experience. I'm about to take my girls to India, and I'm just so excited, not for what I'm going to see, but for the bonding moments I'm going to have. So as I mentioned in the Annapurna, it's as hard as you make it. The Thorong La starts to get a bit more desolate, start to feel like you're heading out towards Mustang, and you actually are from this region. So when to trek? I love this question. Gets asked all the time. Everyone wants the best time. If you have a look at those photos there on the left, you will see me on top of the Renjo La in October. If you have a look below it, it's the same spot, same time, different year. We had a massive snowfall. There was a bit of rain. There seems to be the winter is shifting a little bit longer. And traditionally, everyone said October, November. And yes, that's true because there's no chance of really the monsoon rains and so no clouds. And that's the whole point is you can see higher. If the clouds are 4,000 meters and your mountains are at 8,000 meters, obviously you've got no view. So it's all about avoiding rainfall. And that's why you don't go in the monsoon. So my first answer really, when people say, when's the best time to go? I say anywhere between October and the start of May, when your boss lets you go. If you're your own boss, then yeah, maybe you want to have a look at what you really want to do. October, November, clear skies. Here's a chance for later winter sort of weather now. But, traditionally favorite. December, January, yes, cold, but maybe if you not go lower. But yeah, a lot of people don't like the cold, and so they avoid going there. So it's going to be a lot quieter. Why is that important? There's places like Everest Base Camp where it's a lodge up there. It's we own and operate our own eco camps, but we can't have a camp everywhere or a lodge. Gorak Shep's one of them, and it's first in best dress for some of the rooms, and it is basic. And So it's not so busy. You might get the better rooms. So then you get outside of winter, and then you start to get into the spring and rhododendrons. So why a lot of people like to get there, I think before the start of May, go. The closer you get to the end of May, monsoon rains may hit. And actually on that point, that's when, if you can't go out at that time of year, you look at the places in the monsoon rain shadow, which includes Mustang and Tibet and Ladakh. And so there are Himalayan places you can go in any month of the year. It just may not be Nepal. All righty. So how hard is the trekking? Quick answer, as hard as you want it to be. This was my group. We did the Everest Three Passes trek. Very tough trek. And you can see the difference there. There was a 24-year-old, there's me, 50, Lucas there from Germany in his 30s, and my hero at the front, Ada, 70 years old. Now, after snow, the steps for a tall guy like me versus a short guy like her, they're still just as tall, right? And it was hard for her, joking with my colleagues. Sometimes the best parts of an adventure travel holiday are before and after. During it, you might be thinking, what the hell am I doing? But, you have to put in an effort to get the rewards. And there's no one that ever reflects on it with, well, hopefully, I never want to do that again. But you can see there, you got Dean from Canada, you got someone from Luxembourg, World Expeditions as officers around the world. We have an international mix, and to know what apps they looked at, what they were reading, it's nice to get various forms of and sources of information. But these are the people, if you feel like, hey, that sort of looks like me, they did one of the toughest trips, so over there you can see the Annapurna region, just take it easy, start for 4 days. If you want to do something mad, like my colleague Eloise for 16 days in a tent, yeah, okay, go and do Manaslu. If you want to just do something tough, like there's lodge-based treks everywhere, but you can see the Three Passes camp there. Maybe that's just one night of your trek. But for all these people, that was the best night of their trek. Now, choosing a trek. Here's the tip. We all go to the same place, Everest Base Camp. Typically, most people just do that. If you have a look at our range, it could see overwhelming because there's lots of variations. If I was to say in the Everest region which trek to do, I wouldn't advise Everest Base Camp. I would choose the Gokyo Lakes trek. If you could do more Everest Three Passes, if you don't have that time, maybe Arbre de Plum or just a short Everest trek. Get a sample of it. But it's all in the inclusions. Now, you'll look at our trips and you might go, they seem a bit higher than, some other people you might be looking at. It's all in the inclusions. Meals. I could show you the menu there, and we usually have soup and popcorn, and then there's the first course, and then there's dessert, and then you can have seconds, and you can see that meal there. Okay, that's not photoshopped and overdone. It is a good photographer. But it's the right food you need. And that sort of stuff could cost you like 10, $15. Soup was about $8, right? It could be $1,000. So when people don't include food, to trek in the Himalaya, you need to fuel well and you need to be warm. And a lot of people just don't include those two items, which personally I think is almost borderline negligent. Where's the duty of care? So there's our trek pack there. You can see at the top there. If you don't have a down jacket, don't go out and buy one. We'll lend you one. That fleece liner, it's a secret weapon. It's cozy. You put a few hot water bottles in there, you'll be fine. The sleeping bag, you don't have to guess, will this be okay? It will be okay. And then the souvenir duffel bag, you get to put all your stuff in a big bag, so you don't have to worry about that. and you get to keep that bag. So try and leave a little bit of an allowance to bring that back. But yeah, if you look on our site, flights included. So you're all on the same flight. It's in the inclusions. You're going to pay this kind of money whether you choose a cheap trek initially or just an all inclusive trek. If you've got all this stuff, depends where you're at in the journey. But yeah, it might look like a straight line. Hey, we're all going to Everest Base Camp. What's the difference? And then we add on that, so how do you look after your team? There's some people carrying their equipment on yaks, which is great because there's one yak herder. We still like expedition style porters. There's a lot less porters, and I don't know. I was talking to our operations guy. He said maybe in the future it'll just be drone. God, I don't want to think that, but like less people want to do it. You have to look after your porters. Now, porters come from all around the hills to work, so that means that money that you're paying for your trip is going back out all in the hills rather than just all in one place. There's a lot to think about. And so, do they have a porter policy? How do they look after their porters? Maybe they don't even have any porters, which in case, the money's not really getting spread around. And where are you going to stay? So we've always been a camping-based company. So we wanted to upgrade that. The purists in us, we camp. We call it in comfort. We're not saying it's luxury. We're just saying for those of us that spend a lot of time trekking and sleeping on the ground, this is comfortable to have a bed and have a warm place to go relax and a hot fire. You can see the crew there, and that's another thing is they're part of the culture. They travel with you. It really is a special moment to have them come with you. You can see how big the beds are there. Two-person beds. They're completely adequate for what you need. Everything you need is included. Everything you don't is not. So I will just leave you on this. It's been 50 years. Last year was our 50th birthday. We had a big party up there in Nepal. This kind of celebration from monks to local people, see people playing guitar. Not every company can do that. Nepal's a special place to us. We love it. We hope that will be shared with you if you join us on a trek. But for now, I'll open up to questions for anybody. But don't fear if you don't think of it tonight, you can always email our office. Eloise, are there any questions happening?
Not just yet. However, if anyone wants to just pop a question down in the Q&A section on your Zoom screen, if you've got anything, please let us know and Brad will answer.
Yeah, I know one question a lot of people usually have will be about gear. And, we supply gear lists. We tend not to supply it for free up the front. There are a lot of people just wanting to grab our information, but we're happy to supply those at book. But I can tell you now, like shells and boots, people were drying their boots at the Gorak Shep. That if you had good boots and good shells, you shouldn't have to do that. It pays to invest in those things locally. Things like trekking poles and stuff like that. You might just get them in Kathmandu because they are cheaper, and if you're not going to use them forever, maybe
Yeah.
think like that.
Thanks, Brad. We do have one from Julian here. What area would you suggest in September?
It'll be late September, but yeah, Annapurna perhaps because it's lower. As you get to the Everest region, there was a bit of snow, but you can still go there. But yeah, the Annapurna, the Everest region, the dates, I can't remember the dates in the other regions we have, but you'll probably notice there's just one or two departures, and it would be because they're the best times for those. But in the places where we have multiple departures, yeah,
Yeah.
late September. Don't go early September, perhaps. Have you climbed? Oh, sorry, go on. Anything else?
Then Williams just asked, have you climbed Mira and what is your opinion of this trek and what's the best time to go?
Yeah, no, I haven't. It's something I probably would consider to do next. And I'm glad you called it a trek because some people might see it as a climb. It is a trekking peak. Again, I think there's only a couple of, I think it's like April or something that it goes. There's a couple of dates, October and April, sort of the more, whereas you're higher, it's not going to be freezing cold. But I would say if you're a fit person, like there's one thing to say. I said for beginners and what have you, I said Annapurna, but like if you're a fit person and you've done things like Kili and all those things, by no means do restrict yourself to those areas. If you feel like you're up to it, you've tested yourself at altitude in other areas, you'll be under good leadership. Go have a crack.
Thanks. Allison's just asked, what is our shortest and easiest trek we offer?
Annapurna trek, 4 days. Hills are still high, but no altitude, just the hills. 4 days. Go add Chitwan to the end of it. If you're going to go there, go and because just in case you don't go back. But I think you will.
Thanks. Grant and Diane have asked if we could provide some recommendations for training for your first trek or like pre-trek training recommendations.
Anything aerobics and legs, swimming, running. I do, a lot of cardio that involves um, step ups, box steps. I'm not the super fittest person. I do enjoy a beer on the weekend. Uh, you got to be ready for endurance. It becomes a mental thing more than physical. Sometimes it might be the first, even as fit as you are, the first couple of days could hurt. You just have to have in your head that this might happen, and I just have to push through it. There could be a night that's colder than I really like. You just have to push through it. But in terms of training, just get out there, swim, run, jog, walk up hills, put something on your back, walk up hills, do box steps, steps.
That's what I've been doing lately, getting ready for Manaslu.
Well, then you'll be fine.
We've got Stephen here just asking over 50s trek versus standard. How would we decide that?
Hey, good question. Okay, so in that group photo that I showed you, there was a 24-year-old and there were people at 70. So look, naturally, the 24-year-old is going to be faster and the 35-year-old is going to be faster. I'm hopefully somewhere in between them and the 70-year-old. It doesn't always feel comfortable for a lot of people for people to be ahead. And so that's why we have the over 50s, where you can walk with a similar age group and you don't have to feel that nervousness of young people, bounding ahead. Now, look, if they bound ahead, I say, that's just, they're fitter. It's going to happen. That's the reason for that mainly. I can't remember if there's one extra day added in there just to make the lengths, but that's mainly the reason, just so you feel more comfortable with the like-minded people you want to be around.
Mm-hmm. Do you stay in tea houses along the trek?
Tea houses are an interesting word now. Like the Everest region, I went there 20 years ago. Every kid come out and said namaste. No kid was really coming out and saying namaste anymore because they were all on a phone. There's a lot of internet. There's a lot of things popping up. And I don't know if you'd call them traditional tea houses anymore. There's certainly lodges. We in the Everest and the Annapurna region, we don't want to be in these busy areas. It's backpacker central. So we've got these locations. We've got our eco camps in, just off there. And, go look on the website. You'll see some location. So we do that. But as we go further into the hills, it's a little bit harder to maintain these camps, and we may stay at a selected lodge. Yeah, no, I guess is the quick answer. I just gave you a little bit of background there because Nepal's changed.
Mm-hmm. Thanks. Doug's just asked, concerned about altitude. Are there lower altitude treks?
Most things in the Annapurna region. If it's around 3,500 meters, if you needed that in feet, sorry, Doug, but let's say 10,000 feet. But yeah, you'll be good. The thing is, it's how much you gain each day. And so, some people, like, you look at the itinerary length. We might take 1, 2, 3 days to get to Namche. Some people might take 2. Now, that then looks like a shorter itinerary and then a cheaper itinerary. But if you're worried about altitude, you should think about those 3 days because that's all about acclimatization. So whatever trek we've done, we've paced it at the probably more conservative rate, the right rate, not the rate the market wants us to do it so everyone can get back to work quicker. But the Annapurna region is where I would say go look there. Do you do lodge-based treks or only camping? Both. We've just relabeled them. There's the classic adventures, which is only camping. If it says in comfort, it means it could be a mixture. It could be some of the lodges, mainly our eco comfort camps, and there could be maybe one night of camping in there. Pure camping is now rated as a classic adventure, so it should be clear that if you don't want camping, make sure it's not a classic adventure.
Yeah, thanks. Are you able to provide just maybe a little snapshot on the Mustang area?
Only that Margie Thomas knows a lot more about it than I do, and I should get her to do a webinar on it soon. I know that it's a bit dry, it's a bit barren, it's remote. I know that she always meets with the king. That's the intrigue for me, that it just seems like pure Tibetan sort of lifestyles, untouched because it is so remote.
Thank you. Glenn has also asked, can you carry slash take backpacks with you?
Yeah, just a day pack, just with what you need during the day. All your stuff is, packed in the big souvenir kit bag in the morning, transferred. So camera, take all your, camera stuff, uh, wet weather gear, that sort of stuff.
Yeah. And what's the average number of trekkers per group?
Oh, anywhere between 12 and 16.
Mhm.
We had 9. Minimum's usually 6, 4 or 6. Maximum's usually 16. It's usually somewhere about three-quarter mark. But depends on what time of year. Busy times of year, it could be full.
Mhm.
Usually is.
Do we supply or recommend Diamox?
We supply, we don't recommend anything when it comes to medicine. That's the doctor's job. A lot of people end up, we used to carry, I noticed on this trip, I don't take much because I know we've got it covered. Everyone had their personal medical kit. No one really needed to go to the leader. You can carry whatever you need, but we've got it covered.
Correct. What is tougher, Manaslu or Langtang?
Manaslu.
For Mira, do you need mountaineering boots?
Yeah, there's some mountaineering webinars. You're best off talking to or going and seeing the Siren Mountaineering. I won't talk about that. That's not my expertise, but there are other webinars that you can order. That Siren will have covered that.
Great. And do we follow the pole mantra?
Yeah, I think it's the Swahili, the Tanzania. Yes, yes, always slow.
Were there super fit people?
Yes and no. That's a bit subjective. I think everyone is able to do it. It came to the point: does everybody want to do it? Some people close down; they're just not used to exposing themselves to hardship. Ultimately, I think everyone was capable physically. Mentally is where they were challenged.
Mhm. For a 10-day moderate up to 6,000 meters, where would we recommend in Nepal?
That's pretty high. I don't think anywhere for 10 days, 6,000. I think, Everest Base Camp goes about 5.5, and these things are like 2, 3 weeks. So, yeah, I don't think anywhere.
Mhm. Thanks. Are younger people more prone to altitude sickness than older people?
No, there's no rhyme or reason. And I would say, if anything, younger people move faster and don't know their bodies as older people do. They tend to go slower, drink water, take in the view. So older people just know how to care after themselves more than manage everything else.
Thanks. And what are the toilet shower facilities and phone charging facilities in most of the comfort treks? In
There's
comfort.
a few toilets that you can. Oh, sorry, not a few toilets. There's toilets everywhere. Western toilets. I prefer the squat. Everywhere, all along the thing. Shower facilities only. Look, they're coming more common as you get remote. Forget about it. We provide a bowl of warm washing water every morning and every evening. Maybe not a Gorak Shet because you've got to hike 2K to get not frozen water. That's a big deal. I didn't mention that, but we did meet a rather large companies group at a significant place. I noticed that their trekking bag was half the size of ours. I assumed that they didn't have any warm stuff. They looked a bit hungry. They were eating off the menu, and they were certainly dirty. And they were looking at us when we just washed ourselves with the warm washing water that we've got. So whilst we can't provide you a shower everywhere, we provide you that chance to have a warm wash. Phone charging's pretty much everywhere now. People were getting their internet on credit card in the remotest places. You'd be surprised. I really encourage people just disconnect. But yeah, phone charging at our camps mostly free. Some of them higher. You have to start paying. Uh, if you take a battery pack, keep it warm. You'll be surprised. You may only need one, and that was for a really long trek.
Thanks. Just one last question here. What's the ratio of clients to staff on treks?
Uh, you've got one leader, you've got one Sherpa guide who sort of helps with the Sherpas. You've got another guy who is sort of helping the leader. There's sort of one person, one at the back. And then you've got all the porters who are looking out for you. So there was about 9, 10 people with our group of 9, 10. It used to be 2, 3 people when we used to have to carry eggs and everything. But now, because we go to our camps and we've got some food at the camps, it's almost a 1-to-1 ratio, just a bit more.
Great. I think that's it, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, good one, Eloise. Yeah, like I said, this was just a starting point. If you're looking to do something harder, we have past webinars and it goes from introductory to whatever. So go have a look at our past webinars. If you've got any questions about this, get in touch with our team. But thanks, Eloise. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening and see you in Nepal.
Thank you.
Bye.